12:05 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. It's Wednesday, of course, and that means it's time for Helping Seniors of Brevard. Kerry Fink, a great panel, has been assembled here today, as always, some of our favorite people. Why don't you go ahead and take it?
Well, thank you, John Harper. Yes, and we were just joking about the great music and being in the mood for a great radio show, and we really do have some of our favorite Helping Seniors people in the studio today. We are blessed to have with us none other than longtime friend. You've been involved in this thing almost since Joe started this. This is Jennifer Helin, who runs Helping Seniors of Brevard. How are you today, Jennifer?
I am wonderful. It's good to be here.
And also in the studio and you're on the board of Helping Seniors, and actually we also have yet another longtime favorite friend of Helping Seniors who also serves on the board of Helping Seniors. It is attorney Ruth Rhodes with Rhodes Law. How are you today?
Hey, Carrie, I'm doing great, and I'm happy to be here, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, we were just all joking about, when John Harper was reading us the weather forecast, we said, it's too bad they don't have like a patio outside. You could sit at a little table and just enjoy the sunshine, and we could be broadcasting from the great outdoors. It's just lovely weather here.
I'm sure we could arrange that.
I think it's a great plan.
Perfect.
Invite a studio audience over to join us and everything. I think it'd be wonderful. Well, anyway, on behalf of our president and founder, Joe Steckler, our education specialist, Kim Bernard, welcome to Wednesday lunchtime. It's 12 noon time, and from the noon for the lunch hour on Wednesdays, it's all about senior information radio. And in fact, I'm looking forward this afternoon. Joe Steckler, our president and founder, and I are supposed to do a Helping Seniors update, and so we're going to get the word from the leader. So it's going to be good, I think.
Awesome.
Very good.
Yeah. So anyway, on today, though, we have so much. We need to kind of jump right into it because we're going to try to cover two very good and important topics that you need to know about. The first one that we're going to cover in the first half of the show, we're going to be talking with elder law attorney Ruth Rhodes specifically. She's got a program coming up called Avoiding Guardianship Before It's Not Your Choice. In fact, that's actually the title of the article that you've got coming out in the May edition of the Helping Seniors newsletter. So we're going to jump into that in a moment. And then we're going to talk about something that could be helpful in all cases. And it's an interesting aspect of what Jennifer Helin and the team over at Helping Seniors do. And that is called the Electronic Caregiver. And that is a great way to help keep up with mom or dad or that loved one that you can't necessarily be in the room with all the time, but you really want to make sure that they're doing okay. So we got lots to get to, and I guess maybe we might as well just dive right in. So, this thing about guardianship, to those of us that are non-experts as you are, Ruth, you understand this, but to the average person, we just think, well, mom and dad's getting older, so, we'll help them as best we can. And there's a whole lot more to it, right?
Oh, yes. Way more than just being there to be with them, to help them, which, of course, they need that, too. Mm-hmm. But sometimes they may get to a point where you need to have legal ability to help them because they can no longer participate. So, for example, if your mother or father needs help with paying bills and they're no longer able to really sign the check or assist with the legal part of having access to the money, you need to have legal authority. And the best way to do that would be with, like, for example, a durable power of attorney that would help you have a document that you can take to the bank that would give you the authority you need to help with that situation. And but a lot of times we don't think about it, and we don't prepare appropriately. And if your parent unfortunately loses capacity, then they're no longer allowed to really sign legal documents like that. And then a guardianship becomes the only way to really legally help them. And, we can get into what guardianship is and why you should try to avoid it if you can.
Yeah, because a lot of times, as I understand, tell me if I'm not saying this the right way, but a lot of times, we think like, oh, there's this slow, inevitable decline. And so we might have forgotten to get a guardianship together. But what seems like it could happen is there may be a sudden medical incident and now everything is shifted overnight. And then you don't really have any recourse except to help them through a guardianship. Am I saying that in the right way?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. If you have a slow decline, then you can kind of see it coming and say, okay, it's time to go talk to the elder law attorney and get the documents in order and things like that. But we don't always have that, I hate to use it, but luxury of knowing when the time is going to come that you need to have the use of legal documents to help your loved one. So yeah, a sudden stroke or an accident even for a younger person could cause them to need help. And just having some basic documents in place can really help with avoiding a guardianship situation.
You know, I've heard that too, right? Isn't this true, Jennifer? I know you run into this a lot in the business that you guys are in because you're going in and out of people's homes and you're seeing situations through what you do with seniors helping seniors. But a lot of times it can also be that the person is actually a young person, like what Ruth was saying, is that it may be somebody that was involved in an accident and now somebody else is trying to manage. Because I think one of the things is, right, once your child turns 18, you don't, even as a parent, necessarily have the authority to necessarily speak on their behalf.
Oh, that's absolutely correct. So before your child turns 18 years old, you're their natural guardian and you can help them with all sorts of things. But the day they turn 18 years old, you no longer have legal authority to make a lot of decisions for your now adult child. And so there's things to think about, and that kind of reminds me of a situation where maybe you have a developmentally disabled child that's going to be turning 18. It may be something that you need to think about is how are you going to be able to legally make decisions for your developmentally disabled child? And there's a couple of options. If your child has enough capacity to sign legal documents, they certainly can to allow you to have a durable power of attorney over them or designation of healthcare surrogate so you can help them with basic needs. But if they don't, there is the guardian advocacy that you can get for your child. It's a step down from a full-blown guardianship. It's a lesser restrictive alternative to a full-blown guardianship. And it may be a very useful tool for parents of children that are developmentally disabled.
You know, so one of the basic rules of thumb, I think I understand, and you can correct me if I'm not saying this the right way, but I think in more cases than not, it's better to try to seek an alternative to a guardianship and that almost becomes like your last resort. And mainly it's because it's so intrusive, but also very expensive, right?
Oh, that's true. So an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We all know that. So if you can plan ahead by having documents prepared that will help avoid guardianship, is certainly going to be a better choice than to have to go through a guardianship itself, because guardianship does very much intrude into your privacy, and expense is definitely there. A very basic guardianship with no fighting or arguing among the people. If everyone just agrees guardianship is needed, I can't see it costing less than $5,000
wow.
to establish. Whereas you can get a durable power of attorney, a healthcare surrogate, if they have capacity to sign something like that for significantly less money. And then not to mention all the work that the guardian has to do once they become the guardian. Every year they have to report to the court. There's all kinds of work that's required of them.
That's what I thought. Not only do you have like an initial expense, right? Because everything has to be approved by a judge and all those kind of things. But then it gets even more complicated because you have reporting requirements, even if you're the guardian for your parent. But if you're required, maybe you're out of state and you're having to have help from somebody else, they've got extra, even if they're great help, they've got extra burdens of reporting and things too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's two different types of guardianship that we talk about when we talk about guardianship. Not everyone knows, but there's a guardian of the person that takes care of all their healthcare decisions and care management, and then there's also the guardian of the property that takes care of all the assets and finances. And whether you're the guardian of the person and guardian of the property or one or the other, you're required every single year to report to the court on what you've done that year. So guardian of the property will report all of the money, where it was spent, and guardian of the person will actually do a report in advance to say, this is what we plan to do for the upcoming year to care for this person. So the expense really doesn't ever go away.
Right. And so, again, as we're going to talk a little bit more in a moment, avoiding guardianship seems like it's a good idea, and that's actually a seminar you're going to have coming up. I wanted to ask Jennifer Helin, though, because when you're going into people's houses, sometimes, on the request of the person themselves, or maybe sometimes it's somebody else that's saying, hey, my friend, my neighbor, my mom, my dad, I'm out of state. I need you guys to help us. Do you run into guardianship a lot of times in what you guys do?
We do run into it. And as part of our assessment, we will always ask, do you have power of attorney? Have you given that to someone? Does someone have medical care surrogate? Now, we're non-medical. We don't do anything with that paperwork, but we know how important it is because we see when someone doesn't have it, something happens, like Ruth is talking about. All of a sudden, there's no one there to make a decision. No one can step in, and it's a mess. And I encourage families to really pay attention to what Ruth is talking about because we have seen what happens when you don't have all of that pre-planned and all of that paperwork done. And it really can be quite messy, quite stressful on everybody concerned. So we do work with clients whose families end up having to go ahead and do guardianship because they never did get that paperwork involved. And we do also work with some of our professional guardians who have been brought in because of typically a bad situation. Something has happened. Someone's been taken advantage of. There's no family there to step in and help. So the professional guardian is brought in, and then they will bring us to help that person. And, it's typically a situation that you don't want to see happen. So it's kind of a heartbreaking situation when we get called in to help a person because they have gotten a professional guardian. So whatever we can do to prevent that from happening. And Ruth and I were just talking a little bit before the radio station. We are seeing more and more, I think, where we have people who never had children, the children have passed away, or they're completely in a different state and have had nothing to do with each other for years. So there's these complicated situations, and I think we're going to see more of those. We really need to look at those situations ahead of time, pre-plan, and have that paperwork in place so that these really messy, stressful situations don't happen.
I was thinking, we're talking with Jennifer Helin, by the way, who owns and operates Helping Seniors of Brevard. And as Joe Steckler, our president and founder, he always talks about these, he calls them elements of care. He's like getting the right help at the right point. And he always describes what you guys do as you're kind of like that first rung. You're getting people used to getting some help in the home as they go along. And I was thinking about that. You probably are seeing on it, you're the eyes and ears a lot of times for maybe out-of-state children or things like that. And then you're watching a situation maybe develop where it now has to progress to maybe to that next element of care. And I guess it probably causes you to think about those questions that Ruth Rhodes, our attorney who's in the house today, and we're talking about guardianship, is talking about.
We really do see that. And so when I am out and doing the assessments, I will, if the kids are there in the room with me, I'll ask the parent if they've got their power of attorney, but then I'll turn around and say, this is, I'm going to pick on you both. I'll ask the kids, do you have power of attorney? Because typically the kids are 40s, 50s, right. 60s, and they haven't done any of that paperwork yet. No, as Ruth mentioned, anyone over 18 needs to have that paperwork done. So we all in this room should have a power of attorney, the medical care surrogate. And correct me if I'm wrong, 2011 the power of attorney in Florida changed. So if you're coming in, we have so many transplants
Right.
that come to Florida, and their power of attorney was done up in Ohio or in New York back in 2007. That's not going to fly here in Florida. They need to have it redone. Is that right, Ruth?
Well, technically, out-of-state documents should be allowed, but the logistics of actually using them can be difficult. You can bring a power of attorney to the bank. The bank will send it off to their legal department, and their legal department will scrutinize it to make sure that whatever you're asking to do, the power of attorney allows you to do. Because in the state of Florida, if your power of attorney doesn't specifically state you can do X and you want to do X, if it doesn't have it in there, you can't do it. So then in that situation, your power of attorney may be rejected. So yes, in 2011, there was a big change in the law on powers of attorney. Old powers of attorney should be okay as far as being acceptable, but whether or not they will logistically be useful is another situation. Especially if you're going to be going or going to be needing Medicaid planning done. That was a lot of those issues were changed in the power of attorney. If you're coming from out of state, I highly recommend that you have a Florida power of attorney done. If you have an old one from prior to 2011, I recommend that you have a new power of attorney done, brought up to date. And if you've had a power of attorney drafted by either a paralegal service, or you used a form that you downloaded from the internet, or you used a form that you purchased as part of a form set from maybe Office Depot or something like that, or if you had documents drafted by an attorney who doesn't practice in elder law, I highly recommend that you bring those documents in to be reviewed to make sure they're going to be able to be used when the time comes. Because I see it all the time where we get really bad powers of attorneys and then we can't use them because it doesn't provide for the specific power that is needed.
You know, that is so important. What you just hit on is because I guess a lot of times people undervalue or don't appreciate the specialty that you do, Ruth Rhodes, as an elder law attorney. So they think, oh, I call so-and-so for my real estate, or I call so-and-so about a business transaction, so they can just do this. But they don't understand all the nuances that you know how to operate through, is I guess how I view this, particularly when it comes to these nuances of the power of attorney. And like you're saying, it has to specifically lay out what you can do or you can't.
That's correct. And I've been doing this long enough that I can see the full circle of it, where we have like a poorly drafted power of attorney that is now, we're finding out now is not useful. And now the only way to help this person is to file a guardianship.
Wow.
So the whole thing is, and the whole point I'm here to get across today is that if you prepare adequately, you can avoid becoming a ward of the state and a someone that has to be under guardianship.
Yeah, and it also allows you to have what you would prefer to be done in kind of spoken out for you on your behalf, rather than just whatever the guardianship rules are. Am I saying that the right way?
You absolutely are. So when you plan for yourself, you have control of your destiny, and you have control over who gets to be the person that helps you. And if you don't plan adequately, then the Florida statutes and the rules that govern the court will decide who will be your guardian. A judge who doesn't know you will make decisions for you. So just having that planning is going to be so much better for you.
Peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've actually got, so first of all, it's the title of your article that's coming up in the May edition. We're just a few days away from that now in the Senior Scene magazine, because we publish our Helping Seniors newsletter every month. There's eight full pages plus our Helping Seniors Senior Services directory that's in the center section. We call it the Yellow Pages, and so you can get your free copy of Senior Scene at literally about 500 locations around the county, or you can just read it online, seniorscenemagazine.com, and we certainly publish it out at helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. But your article is entitled Avoiding Guardianship Before It's Nacho Choice. And actually, that you've got the seminar. If somebody, this is a free seminar, right? You don't pay for this, right?
That's correct. So every month I put on a seminar of a different topic. I do my seminars on the third Wednesday of the month. And so May 19th, I'll have mine at 10 o'clock. It's going to be at One Senior Place. We're also going to be doing it live webinar too. So if you're not comfortable with going in person or you just can't make it, you can also log in on the web. But this month, we're going to be really diving deep into the avoiding guardianship topic. And the name of the the program,
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, we're kind of corny, and so Cinco de Mayo is coming up, and so you did a little play on words, avoid guardianship before it's nacho choice.
Yeah. So if people want to get in touch with you, maybe they want to sign up for this, either to come out and join you at One Senior Place, or maybe, like you said, if they're still more comfortable just doing it from their home via their computer and they can log in that way, how do they register or how do they get involved?
Oh, that's really easy. You can either call my office at 321-610-4542. Or you can log on to our website at www.rhodeslawpa.com. That's RHODESLAWPA.com. And you can log on the website or by calling in.
Yeah, no, and I would really, this conversation we've been having during the first part of the show really makes it seem important that at the very least you'd want to give a call in and check your documents and make sure, because if guardianship isn't really your preferred route, you want to make sure that you're set up so that you've got that protection. So we just got enough time before we get to the break to give that phone number one more time to reach your office.
That number is 321-610-4542.
And that's attorney Ruth Rhodes, who is our expert elder law attorney. She's just on the board with Helping Seniors of Brevard. Thank you for your volunteer service in that capacity. We really appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome, and it's my pleasure to assist and provide education where I can.
Yeah, this is so important. It's the mission of Helping Seniors. And we're about to take a mid-show break. When we come back, we're going to talk with Jennifer Helin about a thing that you guys do, which is pretty revolutionary and pretty fantastic. And what it's kind of, I would almost say it's a little bit Buck Rogers, but it's the Electronic Caregiver. And we'll talk about that on the other half of the show. Helping Seniors.
You're listening to Helping Seniors of Brevard. Let's get back to more of the show. And here's Kerry Fink. Kerry?
Thank you, John Harper. I feel so somehow cultural with that music. We should be like very formal. Everybody's sitting up in their chairs, and we were just talking during the break. You know, it's such a lovely day here. These are the days we really have to enjoy here in Florida, where the weather's right and the humidity is perfect, and all these things. And we're having a good time, but covering some very important information. We spent the first part of the show talking about avoiding guardianship before it is nacho choice, and that is with our great friend of Helping Seniors and board member Ruth Rhodes, who is a elder law attorney. So just real quick, one more time, because you've got this event coming up May 19th that is a seminar where you're really going to dive deep into all of this, and also your article coming out in just a day or two in Senior Scene. But if people want to get registered for that, one more time, what is that phone number that they should call?
The telephone number is 321-610-4542, or you can log on to our website, and that's www.rhodeslawpa.com.
And that's Rhodes, RHODES. Attorney Ruth Rhodes, great friend of Helping Seniors. And we were talking, we were actually kind of joking about a story that Jennifer Helin, who is owner of Seniors Helping Seniors, was talking about. And your dad called you and said, "What's the name of that girl?" This is going to be a great lead-in for what we're going to talk about. And so I'm sure you're in the middle of a busy day taking care of a million different things. And Dad calls with, "What's the name of that girl?"
What's the name of that girl? And I for the life of me, I couldn't understand what he was trying to ask me. Give me something more to go on, Dad. What do you mean? And the thing is, I had just picked my mom up from the house. So she and I were in the car, maybe 5-10 minutes out. And we get this phone call. What's the name of the girl? And the girl that plays the music. And it dawned on us, oh, okay, you're talking about Alexa. He wanted Alexa to stop playing the music. My mom is an expert Alexa user, but my dad, not so much. So,
and we're talking about how electronics gets into every aspect of our lives. And we were talking about, even during the commercial break, Ruth, you were talking about how you use it even as pet therapy a bit to keep your dogs calm if you're out of the house,
Yeah, I do. And they love it.
Yeah, and so the way that we're using technology today is incredible, which is really what we want to talk about in the second part of this show. So on behalf of Joe Steckler, our president and founder, Kim Bernard, our education specialist, you are listening to Helping Seniors Radio. We hope you make a habit of joining us every Wednesday at noon. Just plan your lunch hour around Helping Seniors Radio right here on 90.3 FM, WEJF. And of course, we always make sure that we archive all the programs. So there's a huge library. If you missed a topic or you heard us say something that was interesting and you'd like to go back and maybe get more information, maybe you missed a phone number, all of that, we keep that archived, and you can get at it on the Helping Seniors of Brevard .org website. You can also subscribe to our Helping Seniors of Brevard YouTube channel. And if your preferred venue is Facebook, we got you covered there. We're Helping Seniors of Brevard on Facebook. But what we wanted to talk about, Jennifer, is actually, and there's a TV program that we did a little while back that's just now hitting the airwaves, and it is about what we're going to talk about next, and it kind of ties into this Alexa thing, but it's different. It's actually very important and very helpful, and it's called the Electronic Caregiver. What is that?
yes. So our goal at Seniors Helping Seniors has always been to keep seniors safe and at home where they want to be. And there are times when we are in every day, but there's times when we are in the house maybe once a week, and the kids are up in New York or Ohio, and there's not someone in the house 24/7
Right.
on a regular basis. How can we protect our seniors when no one else is there?
Right.
And I've had over the years people ask me, well, what do you suggest as an emergency response system? And I researched a little bit. There's so many out there, but we continue to get that question. So I finally said, you know what, I'm going to research this for myself so I can more intelligently recommend something to our customers. And in doing so, I found the Electronic Caregiver, absolutely fell in love with it. The representative in our area retired, and they came to me and said, would you like to represent us? And I thought, I really would, but let me research this again, just double check. Are there any other companies out there that would be better? Mm-hmm. And I didn't find any. I really liked the Electronic Caregiver. So right before COVID, we started representing them here in Brevard County. And I absolutely love the product because it does help us keep our seniors safe and at home when nobody else can be there. So it is that traditional help by phone and I can't get up. It's an emergency response system. But it's so much more than that. The technology, like you said, behind it is amazing. So there is a lanyard that you can wear, but there's also a watch, so you have your choice. So a lot of people don't want to wear the lanyard. They want to wear the watch because it looks like a smartwatch.
Right.
And it looks like everything else. So, my own vanity, I'm going to have a pink one. So it kind of blends in and nobody knows that you've got an emergency response system. But what we were talking about now with this weather, it's gorgeous. None of us want to stay inside.
Right.
So this is really meant for everyone. It is meant for our homebound seniors, but it's also really meant for our very active seniors who are going to go out and take advantage and take a walk in Wickham Park. They're going to go to the art festivals. They're down at the beach. This will go anywhere with them, and they still have that emergency response if they need it wherever they go, and it also GPS tracks them. So if you get lost, if you take a drive and you all of a sudden find that you've really lost your way and you don't know where you are and you're in a panic state, you can press that button and they will help you. So it's a whole lot more than just, help, I've fallen and I can't get up. And I really would love to see that stigma, that picture that we all get in our heads because we all do it. I'd love to see that stigma go away because I would love to see our really active, outgoing seniors have this safety as well.
You know, it's funny because when you think about it, if you go back and you watch a TV show, let's say from the 80s or the 90s, and you'll see somebody have a car phone. And in those days, it was you had to pick up the phone, talk to the operator, get them to connect you to whatever number, and you had to be like ultra uber rich to be able to even have such a thing. But here we are, we're in 2021. You wouldn't think really of leaving your house without your smartphone. And so kind of what you're referring to is the problem with the meme that it has become of help, I've fallen, I can't get back up. That was when the technology of the day would basically just allow it to call 911, and hopefully that meant they knew where your house was. But we are in just like your smartphone has nothing to do with that old-fashioned telephone. This is like at a whole nother level, right? Because this is helping you understand where you are, but even past that, there's options that let you track some of your I guess I would call them medical feedback, biofeedback, whatever you'd call it. Like it can help you and help your doctor see a little bit what's going on with you as well.
Absolutely. So I think this is fantastic, especially for maybe a snowbird who travels in different places, or, we've got several people now that are in RVs and they go from place to place. It has Bluetooth devices that go along with it. So a scale, blood pressure, glucose monitor, pulse ox. That information goes up to the cloud. You choose who you want it to go to. So you choose where that medical information goes, to your primary, to your cardiologist, to your daughter, to whoever you want it to go to. It automatically uploads and it goes to them. So your doctor can be monitoring your blood pressure while you're out in your RV having a great time. And they can call and say, hey, you know what we've noticed? It's a little high the last couple of days. What's going on? Maybe we need to tweak the medication. Maybe it's diet related, but they can attack it right then and there and hopefully prevent a hospital stay or something else from happening. So it's very much, proactive instead of a reactive way to look at medicine. And it goes where they go. So it keeps people at home and it keeps them active.
I was thinking as you were telling that story, Greg Kennedy, who's the executive director over at Zon Beachside, I remember when they were first building that, and he and Joe were having this conversation, and Greg was explaining he was putting AI, like motion sensors, into, not cameras, but motion sensors that would understand a person living in the assisted living or the memory care facility would understand things like their gait. And so that the idea was that over time it would learn a person's movements and would be able to understand that something has shifted in their movements and ideally let the staff know that that person is a higher risk of fall. And so what when you're telling that story is that it's the same thing, right? You're going to have a level of information. If you go to the doctor, you're stressed out when they take your blood pressure, and so it's probably going to go up just because of that. But this is just kind of monitoring all this in the background and helping you understand what's going on, or more importantly, helping your doctor understand what's going on.
Exactly. And I think for peace of mind for families who are up in New York, they weren't allowed to come down during COVID. This was a perfect way for them to be able to monitor remotely and without being too obtrusive.
Yeah.
Being able to monitor mom, knowing, that she's up. So there's a Caregiver app that's associated with it, and you can set different parameters on that app so that if mom's not up and moving by 10 o'clock, you're notified.
Wow.
If mom is moving outside a certain radius, you're notified. Mom will also, you can program it to give mom some reminders, to give her a medication reminder. Hey, it's 10 o'clock, it's time to take your medication. She has to go over and press the button to acknowledge that. To movement reminders, you haven't moved. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, and I'll throw my dad under the bus, technology, bless his heart, we got him on YouTube and Google. And he does a lot of history, but he does cat videos too. He'll sit in that he'll sit in that chair for 2 hours. And
Right.
so, we're going to have a device policy. But this would remind him,
Right.
Every hour or every 2 hours, you need to get up and move. So the technology is amazing. What the capabilities are for this device, and they've got some amazing things coming out, any day that's even taking that technology to a higher level. But it's a way that we can utilize technology to help keep our seniors safe and at home, and also to help keep them independent and keep them going out and, maybe taking a hike that they never would have, but
Right.
they've got that comfort level of knowing they've got the electronic caregiver. If something happens, it's a button press away. And I don't know about you, Ruth, but people say, oh, well, I've got my cell phone. If my cell phone is in my purse.
Yeah.
It may be on the top of my purse, but sadly, it may also be at the bottom of my purse. And if I've got an emergency and I'm trying to run and get in my purse and get to the bottom of my purse, that's going to take me a long time. And this is literally just a button press on my wrist. So it's a very fast, easy, don't even have to think about it.
And you don't always have your purse right with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good Lord. I know I like to leave my purse. I don't like carrying it around. It's too heavy.
Yeah, so your cell phone is not, everybody will say, but I always have my cell phone on you. Well, you may not have taken it into the bathroom.
Right.
And a lot of falls do happen in the bathroom. Or,
Right, or in the shower.
You've left it on the kitchen counter and you're out in the garage.
Yeah, you ran out in the backyard for something. You're not going to necessarily, I'm just going to be out for a minute, and those kind of things. But I want to think that this is like a perfect tie-in with what you guys do anyway, because you're, as Seniors Helping Seniors, Jennifer Helin, you guys are the ones that are going into people's homes. Maybe it's a few hours every few days or something like that. You're helping, with everything from grocery shopping to medical transportation, maybe fixing stuff around the house. Maybe it's meal preparation, nutrition plan, all those kind of things that you guys are famous for. But even you can't be there. Well, I guess you could be, but most people couldn't necessarily afford to have you there 24/7. So this is like the next best step, right?
It is. So it gives them more coverage, really, for a relatively very low cost. And, most of our customers we're the first rung in the levels of care when you think about home care. So most of our customers are still pretty active. They're still, they're still very capable of doing a lot of things. So they might only need us in twice a week. So what happens the rest of the time, especially if there is no family, they've retired here to Florida and they're all by themselves. This gives everybody peace of mind that 24/7, if it's 2:00 in the morning, they can have somebody there in seconds.
Well, and that, I guess, leads to this question is, do you have to, it's like we go back and talk about the phones of the 70s or 80s or whatever. All that stuff used to be mega expensive. Do you have to be rich to afford a system like this?
No, the base unit is $39.95. So the very base unit,
wow,
which does come with that GPS, it comes with the emergency response. It's 24/7 monitored by EMS professionals.
Wow.
And right now they're actually doing a 15% off of the monthly fees for the lifetime of that unit. So right now is a great time between April and May to get a unit. I think it goes through the end of May. And the prices do go up a little bit when you have the medical devices attached. You can pick a couple of different medical devices. It does go up a little bit, but I think that the highest is $69.
Oh my
so
goodness.
It's really an affordable way to stay healthy, stay active, stay independent, stay in your home, but do it safely with peace of mind.
So for literally about the price that you might be used to paying for your mobile phone, you are in like a whole nother realm of safety, security, and oversight that could maybe save your life.
Absolutely.
We were talking on the break how often, in fact, last week on the radio, we had Tracy Graff, who is Avid Home Care, and she's a registered nurse, and she's talking about what you wanted to talk about last week was the prevalence of people falling and having hip fractures. And so, how many times have we heard the story of somebody falling and then there's nobody around to, we were joking, a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Or in this case, does anybody know it fell? But if you're home alone and you had a fall and maybe nobody's planning to even be there for a couple of days, you're stuck unless you have this thing.
Exactly. And as we were talking before, too, I have a friend who at the time was 58 and she fell on a Friday night. She was climbing up a high ladder to replace a light bulb in her kitchen, and she fell off the ladder, fell on her tile floor. Thank God she wasn't hurt, but it really brought home to her that no one would have looked for me until Monday morning when I didn't show up for work.
Wow.
You don't have to be a senior to need something like this, to have the peace of mind that, oh my gosh, if something happens, I've got coverage. Somebody's going to be here. I can get to somebody. And you're right. Most of the accidents sadly happen at home because we pay more attention when we're out.
Right.
If we're in a new place, a new environment, we're watching where we're stepping, we're watching what we're doing. But we're at home, we know that place. So we move a little bit faster. We're not quite as careful, and most of the accidents happen in the bathroom. So you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, you fall, no one's going to find you, until the next day or the day after, depending on what's happening in your home. And the sad part is you have to think about that injury if you have a hip fracture, but then the time that they have laid there on the floor, dehydration setting in, all the other things that happen medically. So we want to get that person help as quickly as possible.
So when you think about this, right, for this nominal cost, what you're doing in terms of this massive 24/7 round the clock kind of help, it would seem. And do you have to sign like a long-term contract? Is this something that you're?
No, thankfully, no. There is no long-term contract. You can have it for as long as you need it. So we have. Had ones for families that literally, they just needed a month until they moved into an assisted living facility. They didn't keep it during the assisted living facility, but we've got other people that did keep it in the facility.
Oh, yeah.
And my aunt fell in a facility, and the facility was absolutely wonderful, but she was in a stairwell.
They got a lot of things going on.
Well, and she was ornery, and she always took the stairs. And how many people really do take the stairs in an assisted living facility? So she was a couple of hours before someone found her. If she had the button on, they could have found her immediately. So there are lots of different circumstances where this would fit, but if they need it for a month, if they need it for 2 years, it's with them.
So you just take it as you need it. And I remember when you did the TV show, I think you actually had the watch on.
Yes.
And the cool thing is the watch doesn't look geeky or nerdy or, medically or something. It just looks like, somebody's got a smartwatch on their arm.
Exactly. So it kind of blends in.
Yeah.
Which is nice because, again, we all... there is a stigma, whether we want there to be or not. Unfortunately, there is a bit of a stigma. So having something that blends in a little bit more is helpful.
Yeah, it's stylish. So I wanted to ask Ruth, I said, for a lot of the people that you run into, I mean, this sounds like something that's probably very beneficial for a lot of cases.
Oh, I'm so excited about hearing about this because I do come across people who are trying to watch out for their mother, father, grandmother, elderly person, or just a fragile person. And I can't wait to get all this information from Jennifer and be able to start giving this information to my clients and their loved ones because I think this is wonderful. This is the best thing I've heard about in a long time.
Yeah, it is really tremendously a great use of technology. Let's use this to improve people's lives and keep them safe. And as Joe Steckler, our president and founder, always talks about, something like this is a real solid part of your aging plan, right? You don't have to look like you're under some sort of a doctor's thumb medically. It's just like, hey, it's my smartwatch. It's pretty cool, actually. How do people get in touch with you to get more information, Jennifer? What's the best way?
So they can give us a call at the office, and our number is 321-722-2999. Again, that's 321-722-2999. And we also, we have a website at seniorshelpingseniors.com/Brevard. So seniorshelpingseniors.com/Brevard will bring you right to us. There's some information about Electronic Caregiver on the website. We'll be adding some more. Actually, there's in the blog, we have some articles about the Electronic Caregiver and how it works. But
good. Make sure as you get those published, I know you're good about this anyway, make sure we get those because we want to publish those out on the Helping Seniors side too, because this is just great. It's affordable. So just to kind of recap, if somebody called you up today and said, listen, I just want to start out with the basic package. Let me give it a shot for a month, see how I'm doing. So what are they going to pay kind of like to get set up? Is
it's $39.95. There is a $25 initial fee.
Sure.
Sometimes they'll waive that with the sale. I'm not sure if the sale they are doing that or not. I'd have to double check because right now it is 15% off for the life of that unit. So from now going forward, they would always get that 15%
So it's
off.
15% off the $39.95.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And we keep the base units in our office. So we will run out, get it set up for them, make sure that it is working properly before we walk out the door. So it's set. And then if they decide later on that they would like to add a blood pressure cuff or they would like to add a scale so they can monitor, the doctor can monitor their weight, we can order that and bring it out to them or have it shipped right to the house.
Wow. So again, the phone number to get in touch with you?
321-722-2999.
Yeah, and we're talking about articles coming up in the Helping Seniors newsletter, and like we had mentioned before, elder law attorney Ruth Rhodes, her articles just on what we talked about early in the show, avoiding guardianship before it's nacho choice. And again, I want to remind you that May 19th, she's got a tremendous and free complimentary session that you can attend either in person over at One Senior Place, or if you're more comfortable, you can still do it online. And one more time, that phone number.
That's 321-610-4542.
And I was thinking about, Jennifer, the article you have coming out in the next edition is called Stressed Seniors. And all I can think about is that what you're talking about with the electronic caregiver would be a perfect tool to help reduce the stress for a senior.
Exactly. And I do talk about my mom in that article a little bit too. So I pick on my parents a lot because they are seniors.
Hey, Alexa.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's good. And again, how do we get in touch with you?
321-722-2999.
And I have just enough time here at the end of the show because I want to pitch the Helping Seniors car raffle tickets. And so the way you get those, this is our fundraiser. We can't do what we do if you won't help us do what we do. So we got to have your help. And a fun way to do that is you get your Helping Seniors car raffle ticket, one for $25, five for a $100 donation. Everybody is a winner because technically your ticket gets you into the Helping Seniors Grand Drawing Raffle event at the American Muscle Car Museum on Saturday, October 9th. And that is a party you don't want to miss. And if you happen to have the winning ticket, you will be selecting your brand new 2021 Camaro, Challenger, Kia Sportage, or Mazda Miata. You get to pick. But you got to get in it to win it. So you can call Kim Bernard, our education specialist, 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770, or go to Helping Seniors Car Raffle, or better yet, drop by Jennifer Helin's Seniors Helping Seniors office or Ruth Rhodes Law PA office, because you guys also have tickets, right?
We do. We have tickets. You can come on over, meet Ruth live and in person, and get a ticket.
And stop by Jennifer's office and get your electronic caregiver.
Absolutely.
See how great all this works out. Well, on behalf of Joe Steckler, our president and founder, and Kim Bernard, our education specialist, we've reached our time. I hope you'll share this good information that we've brought to you today, and also plan to join us. Go ahead and mark it on your calendar next Wednesday, 12 noon, right here on 90.3 FM WEJF Radio. On behalf of Joe, Kim, and Ruth, and Jennifer, and John Harper, and Jim Votro, thanks for joining us.